Yeah.
Yeah.
I had think
Oh,
it's
yeah.
it's a befitting track for this show.
I think this track was in 1980 or 81 during the Silver Jubilee.
Yes.
Yeah. One of my Pyro Toma Mbela Manso Sadad.
Madi ko pura bale. Madi man. Amang.
And I can Jalibala Mwele, Naka do Jaliba Code discourse. So, Yalan the old ones, like the Tereto, the Komala New Year's Fankol Yin, Tukumuta Fatamuta, and many other Fankol. Yeah. So, so Samala Veke Cantolajan.
Whenever you Daisy, I want to come back. Trump line.
You should come there. So I know I'm in Brooklyn at the moment. So Latin, I'm in New York sign thing. Yeah, it's raining cats and mouse here. You should you should come because there was the place I am now. There was a protest here. We will get into that during our interview. Because yalan den the lamol it'll gasila protest school.
They protest because
Yeah, but it's not a good idea because considering
of your
now for I don't know whether you're able to handle Madi or do I have to call him also?
man on fire understand them. If you have fight it and because just like
But,
that.
yeah, let me call him and see because I tell you,
Pura bale.
I'm not gonna know. I think he's supposed, yeah.
The YouTube channel. I create a channel for some reason. I don't even know how I got this.
I'm trying to call him here. Just a moment. Just a
Hey Juka, you should join us. I was going to call you to join us. You should join us though. So before this we start the show, those of you that are watching, we've always said you can send Kerfa to. Somebody said my voice is not clear. How come? Am I far? Is it because of the sound or what? That's not cool. Let me see. I'm just. Can you guys hear me properly? I will not be doing the talking. Let me see the sound. Those of you that are saying you cannot hear me, let me know if you guys can see me. It's loud and clear. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you, guys. So I wanted to explain the stars. So if you want to empower Kirfatu and other media houses, what you can do is go, you will see the button there where it says send us stars. You can choose what stars you send us. That is directly empowering the media house. That is money directly that you're giving us. So we want to thank all of you that always send us stars. So I'll be expecting a lot of stars tonight, okay? So if Madi comes, we will start as soon as possible. All right, thank you, Pajati. Thank you so much. Hey, brother Malang, Benyadi, Madam Benyadi. Hey, thank you, Abdul S. Haidara, for the stars. We appreciate. Thank you, Abdul, for the stars. Sadauda ni dia ka dia man tamurun dira ba. Bela sabo Sadauda. Nka bela sabo Sadauda. Na fale mari wata bora ba. We hear you, but not while Omar is speaking. Okay. I think Omar is on mute right now because he's trying to talk to Madi. That's why. All right, let's see how it goes when we start. Hey, Omar Malmo Jr., thank you so much for the stars. We appreciate you. Thank you. We appreciate. Let us know where you're watching from. Let's see where you're watching from in the comment section. Thank you so much, Madi Kamara, for the stars. We appreciate it. I mean, Nambenga, thank you for the stars. We appreciate you guys. You know, we appreciate the support. You know, the stars you send us directly is empowering the network that helps us to be able to go around the country and bring you all the relevant news stories. So thank you. Madi, what did you say? I'm not saying. Omar, let me mute lady. Are you speaking to me? Or you want me to call you from here? Can I? You're good. Okay, okay. I don't know. Let me see. Now, Fale, Madi, what a bora, Madi. Yes, yeah. Okay. Somebody is from all the way from Dryland, but you woman diad, woman you last at them, but you're given diad. Thank you, Ibu Wally. Thank you for the stars, Ibu Wally. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Ibu Wally. Thank you for the stars, Ibu Wally.
Okay, but why can't I be on the phone? Okay. Okay. Right.
Thank you, Ibu Wally.
Okay, but why can't I be on the phone? Okay. Okay. Right. I'm repeating myself. Oh, I see.
Thank you.
Okay. You getting me? Father, I cannot hear you.
You cannot hear me?
Okay, now I can hear you.
Okay, Omar.
Omar, I cannot hear you. I can't hear you people. Hmm? Oh, I think Omar is mute. Oh, the bukan mute. I see mute on your screens.
Was mute, but I'm back. Okay. So, Madi, I can hear you. Omar, can you say something? Omar, we can't hear you. I cannot hear you, Omar.
Omar is muted.
Omar, can you remove your mute? We still cannot hear you. Omar is mute. Omar is mute. Oh, Lamin Sise, thank you for 1,000 stars. Thank you. We appreciate. Omar, you're mute. All right, let me text Omar so he can see what I'm saying.
Can you hear me now? How about now?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
We can hear you.
I can hear you too.
Oh,
Okay,
great.
good. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for joining me on this panel. I think for the benefit of everybody, we'll be speaking in all languages because it's important that we reach out to everybody. So we will be looking at what is happening right now in the country, the detention of the GALA members who were demonstrating yesterday, and they were arrested by the police. We will also look at, obviously, the explosive investigative story by Mustafa Kabo, the Republic, and we will also look at actually the aftermath of that, the statement that was released by the Gambia Press Union regarding the NHRC chairperson and the leaders of the Human Rights Commission. I think it's important we look at these issues. First, Madi, when you saw the report, obviously we all know what Mustafa have been doing all these years. You know, he has been doing amazing investigative reports that have really impacted society, from the Banjul project to the Banja case, Fisheries Department, and other stories that he did. But I think the reaction of this one is beyond all the reports he has done. When you saw the report first, what was your initial reaction?
In one sense, shock, but also unsurprising. I mean, you know, because on this particular case, these Jame assets um, that you know, there has been a lot of talk about it, raised by many people, including myself. And if anything, one is just constrained by the lack of information, you know, about the Janna Commission the disposal of the assets from since when the Janna Commission submitted its report. So so in some sense, one knows something is not right. But then reading his story and seeing the death of, you know, the disregard of the rule of law, the corruption, the conflict of interest, the abuse of office, you know, and so many things that I didn't know myself. That, for example, there is a or was a ministerial committee. I never knew there was a ministerial committee. You know, the idea of receivership, you know, and all that went through in the background between the Minister of Justice and, you know, justice, I mean, the judiciary, but also the items, you know, I mean, who bought the items, how the items moved, and, you know, all the relationships in it. So it's so shocking that, you know, in that small space in Banjul, so many things were going on, you know, on a matter that at the end of the day, those resources, because Jame, even today, I was reading other reports about the Janna Commission, and I think, I hope people will go back to the volumes and dig deep into them again. The extent to which Jame accumulated resources, I mean, assets, monies, properties of all sorts. And, you know, if all those properties and everything else was gathered, well managed, I think it would even impact economically on the Gambia, positive. All right. And then, of course, when we speak about these things, we cannot forget about the victims. That at the end of the day, one of the challenges victims face is, you know, reparations, compensation, and the trouble in getting money. And so when you look at what came out of the Janna Commission and now in this report, the amount of money they are claiming, you realize that there's a huge amount of resources that could have addressed the issue of the victims very conveniently since 2020. You know, so putting all that together, it shocked me that we would have individuals to oversee this and conduct themselves in this manner, you know, as ministers, as, you know, heads of institutions, you know, and as a government as a whole. So, I mean, shocking, but at the same time, not surprising, you know, which is contradictory, you know, not surprising in the sense that this is also the nature of this government since 2017. A lack of transparency, a lack of accountability, you know, lack of openness, honesty, you know, over so many things, whether it's about government contracts or, you know, whether it's about, you know, the use of public funds in all sorts of activities and so on and so forth. I mean, and how to, they, you know, essentially cater just for themselves, whether it is about land or vehicles or per diem or travels, you know, or, I mean, office furnishings and so on. So, which goes to, you know, validate my position ever since that the government of the Gambia, not just today, but since independence, exists only for those people who work in it. So to me, the Gambia government is a scam, it's a fraud. It only serves, you know, the people who work in it. All right, and which is scandalous. It's a tragedy, and so my shock finally in that is that given the people who took over 2017, I mean, knowing the history what we went through, where we came from, I mean, who should stand for the Gambia? And my expectation is these are people like me, they're educated, they are exposed, they know the history, and so they should have the sense of responsibility to know that we have to serve our people better and differently. All right. So today I listened to Bar's interview on Coffee Time, and he's a friend. I mean, I consider him a friend, a gentleman, fine. But it was all rationalizations. It was all innuendos. It was all, I mean, self-righteousness talk. But the fact is, 5 years later, you cannot come this morning and talk to us about this and that, when actually that information should have come out 5 years ago. I saw the Minister of Justice, their press statement, and I'm like, do these people have conscience? I mean, Dauda Jallo as Minister of Justice, I mean, you can have the courage of your conviction, the honesty to tell Gambians what happened is wrong. And, so we should correct this. And this was what happened. But to tell us, yes, an audit will be done, and then that audit will be given to the parliament, when this very government at the highest level had said audit is an opinion, and you are telling people that in that press statement that a comprehensive report would be produced in due course to be given to in due course. 5 years later, you are talking about in due course. I mean, why can't you release the report right now? So and I remember, fully, when Daura was appointed minister, talking to him that very day or so, I told him, which I have told almost everyone, probably I even told, but I have told anyone I know in this government, all right, and in this country, that look, our generation should salvage this country, all right. And I said, if you go to Europe and America, you go to America, you may see an old man like Donald Trump as the president, but you will realize that the people who are running business, who are running their government institutions, who are running their technology, their sports, their media, all right. I mean, the policy makers, and so these are not old men over there. I told him these are people of our generation. Every time World Bank, IMF, UK government, US government, they send so-called experts, consultants to this country to develop a certain strategy, a certain policy, a certain program. And these are people who, I mean, I am far older than them. I mean, I'm far educated than them. I'm far experienced than them. I was working at WFD, the country, the regional manager for West Africa, some small girl who could be my daughter, sitting over there telling me how I should run this gun, how we should do program in the Gambia. But I tell them, no, this is not it. I tell them this is how we do it. I put up a concept note. They, oh no, Mari, this is perfect. Because some girl, some boy sitting in London, in New York, I mean, in UN House, cannot tell me how I should develop this country. So it is so scandalous that people like Ba, people like Dauda, people like the cabinet full of well-educated people across our government. I mean, we sit here 60 years, 90 years. All right? You cannot run this country. Everywhere there's a problem. Anywhere you think they are doing well, it is because you have built a road or a school or a hospital, a structure. And a structure is the cheapest, the easiest thing any government can do. So it burns my heart. That we sit here. I mean, it's the same thing, like basic things, electricity, water, healthcare, education. Even the roads you build, you cannot build them. You cannot build proper roads. You've lived in Europe and America, advanced countries. You studied there. You see they build their cities, their towns, their communities. They build a road. They build it as if this road, they bought it in a supermarket and just come and fix it. Or God came down and built it for them. They build it with vision, with, seriousness, with a plan. You go everywhere. I'm in the Netherlands. Everywhere I go, the streets, they have catered for pedestrians. They have catered for bicycle riders, for buses, for trains, for for dogs. All right. They plant as you. I mean, they put parks. They build lakes even in the middle of the city. They create lakes there. I mean, we sit in the Gambia. We cannot do that. I mean, like even natural waterways, we destroy them. Look at the Kotu stream that they are trying to build. I mean, the Kotu, that Manjai Kotu stream that they are trying to now, I mean, to rebuild. But those are things that we should have done 60 years ago. And you know, this is my fury against our educated people. All right. And then somebody would sit at the radio there or some so-called press conference, you call it Masakunda, and giving rationalizing. I mean, these are stuff we have had Jammeh and his people say. These are stuff we've had Jawara and his people say. They can come and lay out a very nice picture, the best of intentions. But at the end of the day, by 1994, Gambia was was living on food aid since independence. By 2016, Gambia is classified as a highly indebted poor country. And to today, 2025, Gambia remains a highly indebted poor country. And we say we have educated people, our own sons and daughters, manning our public institutions to serve our people. But at the end of the day, what do? You open our budget, our national budget, Fatu. Take any agency, any department, any ministry, you will see salary, then you will see a bunch of allowances, then you will see huge amount of money, lubricants, then furniture, then travel. All our money is spent on individuals, all sorts of allowances. Now, if we pay you that, if we say okay, we can pay you that, but deliver, and you don't deliver. I mean, look at the port. What does it take to run a port? All right. Yeah. You mess up the port. You don't do anything. You plunder our money, and then you come and justify that government cannot do business. So we should privatize. We should do asset recycling. We should do PPP and all of those nonsense. And then we go and give that to some foreigners. And in one day they make it right with the same people in the same environment. But that port, you go and read the Janna Commission. You look at that port. How much money was taken there for Kanilai farms, for Jammeh, for July 22 ceremony, and for Futampaf, that threat. You go to Social Security, you will see the same people. Workers have been putting their money there for donkey years. Our workers, retire, and they are getting, a pension of $3,000, and they've worked for 40 years for this country. They have no houses. Teachers have retired, police officers, soldiers, people everywhere. You retire, no house. All right? Now, you all of these people, they go to America, they go to Europe, and they have seen city councils, all right, local councils, all right, how they build housing. All right? You cross to Senegal, the Asylum, they build high-rise buildings, local housing for working people. Now, in the Gambia, they don't do that. All right? And then you take people's lands and then call it reserve land or layout or TDA or, things like that. And then they share among themselves. And this can be found in the Janna Commission report. So every public institution, it's the same story. Gamtel is broken down. Now, it's broken down. You have to go, how much have you paid car power? And they should come out and tell Gambians how much have been paid to car power, all right, for the period that they have been in the Gambia. So that today, they cannot tell us any more load shedding in the Gambia. So when you put all of these things together, this is where my fury is, so that it is not lack of knowledge, it is not lack of resources, lack of money, lack of skills, lack of tools. It is simply because our public officials have decided, to plunder public trust, to betray public trust, to plunder our resources, to shower on themselves the national cake as if it belongs to only them. So they all come, and anyone comes and benefits from public resources. All right? Yeah. We give you, look at the vehicles they are driving. All right? The allowances and everything else. And then at the end of that, you use that as a platform to go and get another job at the international scene. And what pains me, that they come and tell me I have sacrificed for my country. I left a lucrative job somewhere. You know, when that is not true. You know, so anyone whose contract ended, who is at the end of the contract, who is about to be sacked, you know, you manage to have connections here, they make you some, you know, the minister or director or something. You come and tell us, yes, I have left a lucrative job somewhere.
To come and
I
serve
want
you.
to come and serve my country. You come and serve your country and you are defrauding your country still. So me, I have enough of it. I don't have patience for this elite, you know.
Anymore.
I mean that's why I have no mercy for them at all. You know, I have
At
no
all.
mercy, zero mercy for them, honestly.
For them.
Yeah.
Omar, you know, the Janna Commission, when they I was reading and I'm encouraging a lot of people to go through the Janna Commission. They were comprehensive. The report was very, very well written. I was looking at the volume where the recommendation they sent to cabinet, and if you go through the reports, you know, even the report from the secretary that took over from Kura, from the commission's recommendations on how they want these assets to be disposed of, the total amount of assets that the Janna Commission identified, and I think people should understand this. This is very important. The total assets of the Janna Commission's identified, there was the properties was 266. Now the sales that I think Alpha Capital did, the numbers that are floating around is around 45. Now 45 out of 266, we are still talking about 200 and change plus that we don't know how were sold and how they were also allocated. Some were even allocated to people, as you know, like, you know, the one that took was allocated, and they said compensation. I was reading through his list. I don't know what he was compensated for. There was also the tractors and other items that were, but also interestingly, in 2021, allegedly, Pa Boyan came into this country. We knew about this a long time ago. He came because there were some properties that were not identified by the commission, because the commission didn't know all this. Pa Boyan, Jame's cousin, came and identified additional properties. Up to this minute, the government have not told anybody or disclosed even this information to people. So we just got to know about this from, you know, obviously people that were, that the people that accompanied Pa Bojang and the people that were involved. We know there were ministers, there were other political heads, there were other people that went around. And all of this was not disclosed to us. Why do you think government is so tight-lipped about these properties, how they were disposed of? Because the Army Commission gave us clear guidelines, the commission, as to how they should dispose of these properties. Why do you think they're not telling us anything? Omar, you are muted. We cannot hear you. Yeah, you're muted. Can you? You're still muted, Omar. Can you check? You're still muted. Omar left. So Omar left. I think he's going to come. But Madi, yes. Why do you think government is not telling us exactly the exact? Omar, yes, you're back. Go ahead. Yeah.
All right. So what I was trying to say is that number one is failure of leadership, because Barrow is not noted for fighting corruption. Barrow is not keen about the interests, the well-being of the people. All what he's interested is that presidency, for them to be calling him Your Excellency. Our problem started since independence. Jawara tried. Jammeh accused Jawara of rampant corruption. He did worse than Jawara. Jammeh was like a colonial master who jumped in to a foreign country, amass their wealth, and start, extorting them, looting them, forcefully taking from people.
Yeah.
That we got from Jammeh's situation. We came to Barrow. This man promised us that we thought things are going to get better on the Barrow, but it's the same thing. They came. What Jammeh accused Jawara, they accused Jammeh of the same thing, but they did the worst thing. There was no transparency in this whole process. for me, in the first place, even those who are involved, even the justice minister should not have been involved in this case. You should have set up something and you take your hands off it. The hiring and firing of Augustus Brom, and in bringing another person, using another judge, the other judge say no, you went out and use another judge. For me, that is not him. He shouldn't have done that. For me, I think people have been saying that we are shocked, we are surprised. Me, I'm not shocked, I'm not surprised. And if there is one thing I'm gonna say, I think Gambians should stop. We should stop building infrastructure. You know what I mean? And build institutions in that country.
Yeah.
Because if there are strong institutions in the Gambia, Gambia will not have amassed that wealth. If there are strong institutions, if Barrow was able to put the strong institutions with from 2017 to 2021, what happened will not have happened. But because there's no leadership, so you can do whatever you want to do. What I've seen here is the Barrow is himself, has been put into the honeypot, so he cannot do anything. Because there are people who are more intelligent than him, no disrespect. There are people who are more smart than him. So the best way they can do is, okay, let's put him in so that he will not be able to do anything. Like Madi said earlier, this is a man who will tell you audit report is an opinion. Corruption is as old as human being or mankind and so on. Those kind of statements should not come from him, because if he does, it means that he's encouraging people to go and loot, not to take um, probably what belongs to everybody, seriously. So for me, by and large, Barrow is not transparent. The government is not transparent. That's why we are in this situation now.
Madi, so when we all know Mustafa Kabo, and it honestly it breaks my heart when I see people characterizing him in such a manner that the man is not. And that is the difficult part in this business that we do. Sometimes you even have to write stories about your friends, your family members, colleagues, because you're just doing a job. And we all know, even to have access to information, he's been working on this story for the past 2 years, because I know how long he's been working on this story. And that's why I'm encouraging people to support platforms like the Republic, and other independent platforms, because it takes a lot to do what we're doing, because we don't have funding. We have no funding, and we're running around making sure we're everywhere just to cover public interest stories. And it's difficult to do without resources. But, the kind of input he has put in this story, and, during the process, throughout the process, he has tried so many times to be very ethical in his dealings. Because Mustafa, we know he has a relationship with Batamedu, very cordial relationship. But throughout this process, he has tried to always be very ethical, to make sure he doesn't overcross his relationships and his friendship, and the ethical part of the job. And that is a very fine line for anybody, because sometimes we all get emotional. Now, when you hear people saying, oh, Mustafa ya Jokodola, Mustafa is being biased, he's not being fair to Bar, Mustafa has ruined Bar's reputation. I can comfortably sit here and say that has never been the intention, and that was never at any point will cross Mustafa's mind, because that's not the kind of human being he is. So I think it's important also to speak to the man Mustafa, the work he is doing, and how his passion about this job. People have to understand that, I was speaking to him this morning. He said, Fatu, for me, this is a calling. I don't care about all. That's what we all know him for. Because but honestly, I think it's, for all some of us who know him and how passionate he is about his job, it is so unfair for people to characterize him because he has touched your family, he has touched your relationships, he has touched people that are close to you. We all have those things. There are days that I'm not fine with what Mustafa does, because maybe I'm more than but that should not cloud your judgment about the guy he is.
Okay.
Madi.
Before Madi comes here, because
Yes.
I just want to make that thing. You see,
Yes.
those who are accusing him, they don't have any evidence. Number one, they cannot say big, but because those people are the corrupt people in the society, and he's exposing them. So that's why because I know Mustafa. This is a guy. I have been with throughout a journalism career. We eat together, we brew out together, and so on. Up to now, we do communicate.
Yeah.
If we ever tell you, Mustafa, they gave him money, just confront the person and say, okay, where is the evidence? Give me the evidence. But this is typical Gambian thing. When they see a good job, they don't want to admit that. Instead, they will. You people try to make things nice. They even try to label him. They even try to bring tribal issues here. They even try to bring many other issues here. We know. Okay, what Mustafa has been doing, like I said, John Gitongo did the same thing in Kenya. There was a massive corruption under Moi Kibaki. He investigated, and they set up a commission. The president was investigated. The guy had to flee. Gambians are clapping for Ghanaian investigative journalists. We have that same person in the Gambia. That is Mustafa. I'm not saying don't celebrate Anas. Mustafa is the one you should celebrate because we have very dormant opposition parties in the Gambia. Because if look at it is the young people who are there. By now, they're supposed to join those people on the streets. But all what they are good at is okay, issuing press releases, press statements. Okay, we condemn this thing, this and that and that and that. That is not the thing. Mustafa has just triggered a national debate. What the opposition failed to do, what the civil society failed to achieve, what the so-called whatever rights group in the Gambia could not do, that's what he was able to do. Okay? So now, it is up to the opposition party, because these are the people who want to be in government. It doesn't mean you have to be in government to start fighting corruption. You have to start now. What interest do you have to fight corruption in your country? Because, America, they will be like, okay, if you kill somebody, but if you mess up with people tax in this country, you go to jail for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But when issues like this, then people don't take it seriously. So we tend to spend so much time on non-issues, so that the politicians will come, the leadership will come and divide us. But what I just want to say is, of course, this is a commendable thing from Mustafa. We will stand by him. What he did, that's what other people have done. This is what normally changed countries. The former US President, Richard Nixon, was involved in a Watergate scandal. He resigned because of this. There was a guy who will volunteer. They call him the deep throat. He will pass information. Along the way, he could not hold it. He has to go. It happens in many other countries. It was a journalist in Zambia, because when Freddy Chaluba became president of Zambia, similar thing happened. He was investigated by journalists, and they put it there. The honors I just spoke about in Ghana, over 80 judges in Ghana, they were taking goats, rams, money, bribes in all forms. He exposed that. The then president sacked almost 80 people. So we are not called for a state before a mere slogan also, but because of we have a role to play, and he is playing that role. So that is the important. So I'm not bothered about. I know the type of person Mustafa is. Okay. So whoever comes and said it was paid, well, I will tell you, okay, give me the evidence. Or will you be able to face Mustafa and tell him that you took bribe for you to write a study? Because Mustafa, this is not personal. This is about national issue.
Yeah.
Look, like Madi said earlier on, all this, even that $89 million he given to that capital, whatever you call it, could have changed so many things in the Gambia. Our country could have been somewhere, but all what we want, go somewhere, get some money, and start building roads. You forget about the most important things, dialysis machines, and many other things at the hospital. So, yeah.
Madi, to Mustafa the man.
Yeah. I'm far older than Mustafa. But because of the values and the quality of the man, sometimes I feel he's older than me.
Yeah.
His intelligence, his commitment. So Mustafa is a man of faith. So, it would be really insulting to try to defend or explain Mustafa to rogues and the corrupt who are trying to discredit him, all right, because he has touched their sensitive part. Mustafa is in this because, as you said, that's what he believes. He believes in this country. He believes in truth and justice, and he believes in God.
Yeah.
Sometimes we say Gambia sort of Islam or Muslims, but then you wonder what we do. But if there's one person I can identify as a Muslim, I would say that is Mustafa, because he practiced what he preaches. He practiced what he believes. So the idea of somebody paying Mustafa, I will not even attempt to deny that or explain that. Like it's just crazy. But I mean, I say even if somebody has paid Mustafa, now look at the substance of that story. Does that discredit the substance of that story? I mean, and what that story should do for our country? In another country, this story, I mean, I have told people, including National Assembly members, I have been talking to these pastors. I said, this independent, I mean, the Republic story goes to the heart of the dictatorship of the past, and also goes to the heart of the future Gambia that we want to build. Because people should not forget that 2017, we created two very important institutions, which are fundamental in building the new Gambia, all right? In restoring rights and justice, in reforming our country, in really building that necessary democratic republic we need. And these are the TRRC and the Janna Commission. The TRRC to expose the violations, the human rights violations of Jammeh, and the Janna Commission to expose the corruption and the plunder of our wealth. And when you read the Janna Commission, TRRC talks about human life and limb, how they kill people and so on. All right. And when you look at Janna Commission, it's talking about properties and money. But when you put these two on the balance, you will realize that, I mean, the Janna Commission, I mean, goes probably deeper in the way, I mean, our country was defrauded, which led to what eventually became those human rights violations. Because all those human rights violations are centered on property, on money, on I mean, power to be able to acquire, accumulate, personalize our public resources by one person. So in the Janna Commission, like the TRRC, fundamental, critical, important recommendations have been put there, that would have, if implemented, would have helped us to have transformed this country, and place it on a path that today we would have been all very busy in building that new Gambia, which has been betrayed. Now, this is the essence, this is the substance, this is the importance of the work the Republic did, that Mustafa did. Painstakingly, took him, years. This is not some story you read overnight, over the week. Took him years. And, as I said, Mustafa doesn't just have faith. Mustafa has patience, has diligence. All right? You cannot find a more careful person, all right, a journalist, more than Mustafa. So he has the patience, because Mustafa does not want to harm. Mustafa doesn't want to harm, and he is very much aware of the impact of the stories he's made, so that he would not want to unfairly, even mistakenly harm, any of the people he mentioned. And so he dedicates enough, effort and self-doubt and, patience and time to make sure at the end of the day, he does not unfairly treat anyone. So the claim Ba is making Mustafa treated him unfairly is just, I mean, the words of somebody caught red-handed, essentially, trying to discredit, I mean, what is genuine, what is right. But Mustafa would not harm, anyone, all right? That is the nature of this guy, all right? So the people who are saying these things, of course, we know the kind of people who are saying it. And I think, we should keep this story alive. I think we have a responsibility to keep this story alive. I mean, and for us, as far as our position is concerned, we need investigation of that ministerial committee. Members have to be investigated.
And this is where I want to come. That ministerial committee, because in Ba's defense, right? Even in his statement, when Bas was very clear that he followed the due process after the commission, there was a ministerial committee that was set up. It was that ministerial committee that really looked at these assets and did the needful, right? So can we say it was not just Ba, it was the committee? Is that something that we can also say? And because he was also very clear that he have not personally benefited from any of the JAME proceeds. He was very clear about that. Now, should this be about Ba, or should this be about the government? Where do we draw the line? Because when Ba was doing this, he was in government. He was not Ba the individual, he was Ba the Attorney General. And all of these things happened under that ministerial committee. Where do we draw that line?
Well,
If,
okay.
no, no,
I think it
go ahead.
is okay. I think it's Barrow. So the funniest thing about this whole thing is some supporters of Barrow are on the internet now. They're trying to pull Barrow out of this and push Tamedo into the mud. Okay, whatever happens, Barrow is still the president. Barrow was in charge. Barrow is still in charge. So he will be responsible because if he had put strong institutions, the right thing in place, none of these things will happen. But because of his failure, that's why we still have this. But like the Wolof will say, I think they said, "Daha ganar waksa sokla." That's what I see. They were like, okay, Barrow this and that, Ba. They're trying to put the blame on Ba. I'm not trying to sanitize Ba here, but like I said, this is Barrow's failure. This is Barrow's responsibility. He should have done a better job with Jammeh's assets. Because for me, I don't even think there was any other oversight institution to also look into this ministerial committee or those who are tasked with this responsibility as well.
So,
Madi?
yeah. So, I mean, one can look at it from that point of view, but ultimately, the Republic's report is about the disposal of the JAM assets.
Yes,
Yeah.
And that is the responsibility of the Gambia government. And in that government, it has institutions and agents. The president, like Omar said, takes primary responsibility. All right. In down the line, the next person is the Minister of Justice. And at the time, was Batembo takes primary responsibility.
Yeah.
All right. And then, of course, there are other ministers, but the focal point would be the Minister of Justice.
Okay.
The president has duty of care, duty of loyalty, duty of obedience. All right. That is the responsibility to make sure laws are followed and actions and decisions are conducted based on that law and ethical standards. That the best interest of the Gambia is protected, is served. That all other obligations necessary to achieve these things are fulfilled. Now that those duties, the president has that, the cabinet has that, and as part of that cabinet still, but as the Minister of Justice has the responsibility, just like today, Daura Jallo, as the Minister of Justice, has the responsibility to correct whatever is not correct from 2017 to date, because you hold that position. You cannot claim I wasn't there, or I don't know this, I don't have this, because as they say, the government is a continuity. So you bear responsibility for what obtains right now. So, nobody will push Ba under the bus or remove him under the bus. That ministerial committee, there were 4 ministers there. Most Gambians didn't know that a committee like that existed. They did not come out publicly to the Gambian people to say, following the submission of the Janna Commission and the report and the government white paper, we have decided to set up a ministerial committee. And this is the terms of reference of the ministerial committee. We didn't know. But they had a ministerial committee, they had a technical working committee. What were their terms of reference? All right. The meetings that they've had, they must have had minutes. They must have produced reports. And Fatu, this Janna Commission is deep. It's more than, if you go to the Ministry of Justice website right now, you will see the 9 volumes of the Janna Commission and the white paper. But the Janna Commission, the government received more than the Janna Commission reports, those 9 volumes, because the Janna Commission also submitted many more documents, annexes.
Yeah.
So Jammeh's properties, so-called properties, like say cattle, the livestock, the Ministry of Agriculture they submitted reports to the Janna Commission, different ministries, departments, agencies, depending on how they are connected with Jammeh's assets or the nature of the assets. So Ministry of Agriculture would deal with agricultural matters. Ministry of Information would deal with matters around that area. Ministry of Environment would deal with those things. And those were attached to the report as annexes.
Yeah.
And all that information in a proper government should have been on the website of the Ministry of Justice so that we see all the annexes, not just the properties, the materials, but even the, receipts, the payments that are made. So people have full knowledge of how Jammeh was managing our resources and with whom and how and so on. Now, this government, they failed to do that.
Yeah.
You failed to do that. And then you come to the selling of this material, telling us it is in steel bits. Why steel bits? I mean, you and Omar are the top journalists in this country. Have you ever seen an announcement, or have you ever been invited to an auction of any of the materials, the aircraft, the vehicles, the cattle, and so on? Now, if you and Omar are not aware of that in this country, then you wonder somebody in Boraba, what do they know? What do they know? So for me, sometimes I take the standard to be myself. If I, as manager, with all the involvement I am in the political environment of space of the Gambia, if I'm not aware of this, then 99% of Gambians are not aware.
Aware of
and
that.
the minister cannot come in here and tell us, we did this. I mean, the receivership. Why would you go and hire somebody to be a receiver? I went to check in the Companies Act, and I realized that we did not need a receiver for these assets. What we needed was something like the AMRC. Create a government body, hand over all the materials there, and they identify what is to be sold, what is to be returned, and to individuals or companies or communities, and what should be given to the state. So by now, we would not have. I mean, we would have solved so many problems. We would have had so many resources. But at the end of the day, Fatu, living in this country from 2020 to today, do you feel or see any impact of the sale of Jammeh assets as if coming to Gambia as a benefit?
I have not seen any.
Yeah,
I have not seen any.
And that is what should concern Gambians and make us furious. That at the end of the day, those assets, we say Jammeh assets, these are people's assets, individuals, businesses, communities, and then our public coffers. When you read the Janna Commission report, you will hear somebody, a protocol officer saying, I got a text, Governor of Central Bank, I got a text, they go there, Ghana must go back, they feed it with money and take it to State House. You ask presidential affairs ministers, protocols, they say, well, we just went to the Central Bank and then we handed over the money to Jammeh and we don't know what happened. Man.
I don't know.
And then that man uses that money and go and buy aeroplanes and go and buy vehicles. Social Security, they took money there, 88 million, and went and bought a tent. That tent is what you see in the State House right now for the ceremonies they hold there. Now, this is our collective heritage. This is our collective, wealth. You take that and plunder it that way. I mean, we give you a responsibility. Next team come, we give you responsibility to figure things out, and then you don't do that. And then all that you can do to tell us, yeah, Mustafa was paid. Mustafa did not give me time. All sorts of stories trying to discredit. And then you have others who have higher responsibility, attempting to make Mustafa essentially discredit himself because what exonerate a certain person. I mean, this is scandalous.
Yeah,
I hope people appreciate really the meaning, the value of what this boy did.
Yeah.
But as Omar said,
go ahead.
As Omar said, the role the investigative journalists play.
Yeah.
Omar, I know our opposition are dormant, but even if they are not dormant, investigative journalists play a great, create a greater impact, than even the opposition or political parties. Remember the Panama Papers? It caused governments to collapse in Iceland, in massive shakeup in Spain, in Greece, and and so many places in Lebanon. You know, the Panama Papers. But look at us here. I mean, I hope National Assembly, I hear they want to set up a committee to look into this.
We'll come to that, because I think, you know, we will come to that because, you know, we have all seen what happened in the proceedings in the National Assembly. We'll come to that. But Madi, this one I want to say in Mandinka, because somebody said to me, and that stood out to me, Akonyoko, Nko jame na fengo be sunya, 22 properties, 266 properties. 2 properties in 22 in Banjul, 43 in Carnifing, 117 in West Coast region, 23 in Central River, 14 in North Bank, 8 in Upper River, 14 plus islands, 8 forest parks, 26 wildlife reserves, wetlands 10, and 10 hills, right? Imagine all of this. This is just what the Janna Commission and Janna Commission in Unity, right? Iko jame nyimbe sunyanto lebulu nte okabringaje fango 10 hills ngo hill ol fana hani keneba kiyanko la keneba forest park.
What about islands?
Iko island iko 10 islands plus 10 islands, 8 forest parks, 26 wildlife/wetlands, and then 10 hills. Hani kiyanko la keneba reserve ko jamele tam. Now, iko yimbe jame yin sunyan tol koto. The commission was set up. Saying tolfon kana wo sunyan yo koto. How can we look at the population? And you know, can you logically understand no? You said Jame stole all of this from us. We went to the commission and at all of this, the commission made a recommendation as to, because commissioner, if you read the recommendations, they said properties that were, because we also know that some of the properties Jame took from individuals, right? They seized from individual properties. The commission said, if, for example, Jame had taken Fatu Toure's property and Fatu Toure is in a position to buy it off today, you can sell it to Fatu, but on today's market price. But there was this particular property, Alonco, was bought about 3.5 million, 3 point something from the bank. They only add, I think, 100,000 or something on top of that to sell it to that property after 7 or 10 years, right? You know they have undervalued some of those properties. And then the commission said, like the wildlife parks and Fenkolo, Ali, make sure that goes back to government. The properties, Motol, even the properties, if you want to use them, let us know, because these are government, at this point, they are government properties, right? But we have seen lands being allocated. A bay wo empty land of baby, a bay more allocation on it.
Yeah.
Who did they allocate them to? It's not you and me, because we don't have access. This is the fact. And we have to say it, because we don't have access. It was not allocated to any of us. And this is the sad part. But if you are going to be the court, alco, Jamita Yimbe Sotonola Tante, I am Sunya Gambeno Lebulu. But still, I'm Wofanam Bay, not a Sunya Gambeno Bulkoteke. How can we explain this? How is this even able to explain? How?
It's beyond imagination. I mean, you know, when you say the things, the properties or the assets of Jame, you know, you list them. It reminds you of a, you know, I don't know, 13th century king emperor, because owning, you know, it's like the king of England. I mean, you know, the old, honestly, even the fishes in the oceans, the ducks in the lakes, and so Father I mean, you know, that you are put in public office and then, you know, misconduct yourself in this way. And then at the same time, you would have the audacity to send us a press release or go and, you know, sit before us on television or radio and try to preach us about justice, about right, about good, about, you know, I mean, how to love your country. You know, when it is very apparent, your every action decision, really, you are defrauding these very people you are trying to tell them about how to be a good human being. I mean, it wows me, you know, it beats my imagination. And, you know, Yeah, I mean, you know, and if you get to understand it deeply and you know, seriously, you know, you got to be furious. You got to be furious and you know, and stand up for justice. And I think for people like us, this is why we stand. I mean, you know, but yeah, I mean, it's terrible. You know, yeah.
Omar,
Yeah.
Omar, sila ngambe mbeda kotele jame ya sunyanto rule, but the dolphin na telefone ya sunyanga meno before.
Yeah, yeah. You know, well, Omar is mute still, you know, but
Omar
I mean,
is
maybe the
great.
point he comes, you know, is to say,
Yeah,
like, you
yeah.
know, that's the Gambia strip. You know, you know, for me, growing up in Bakau, I used to remember because the stadium, before the stadium came, that whole place was a forest. The place where today IEC is, you know, where farmlands. I mean, all the way down to the Gambia. Well, most of it was all forest. But you know, I mean, growing up, eventually you get to hear that these are reserve lands.
Yeah.
You know, from traffic light coming down all the way to Joshua. But you know, by the time Jame came and moving on, you can see, you know, these places being given to people. I mean, you could reserve land, and these are community lands. You know, members of the community went there to farm. I understand. I have farmed in some of those farms, you know, around the stadium where you have ice and stuff like that. You know, I mean, as a schoolboy. But then you see these are given out, all right, government allocations. But then, you know, recently from Palmarima, Qatar to Senegambia, you can see, you know, buildings springing up. And these are
Buildings.
areas now where Jame had taken.
But Madi, me break je, but Jame had taken these properties near Korosi. Jame la lanta for near at some point. Akalan oltale, I bake Kanilai family farms to ya. But if you book a loje, Abuka fellow, and that is why today we are able to access them and take them. At some point he can protect them because he's taking them, release it under his name, but Abuka fellow.
Honey, but Amutaje, because it's a matter of time. Yeah, I remember between Saro and Palm Grove Hotel, for Palm Wadna Beach Lombang, remember Banyu Siroka Hotel. Yeah, Hamna Barak in Arakadame. Yeah, between Saro and Latoje. You remember he built a high fence there at one point.
That's true.
Yeah. So
but my thing is, for example, yalang wolano, for example, could be near the commission or lano ni access no ayeta because jamabamu empty lano letting you dura bali belarije. But B government yin tanyami I allocate individual solar, and most of them, I'm not saying all because I don't know, but most of them, maybe the processes were not transparent and they didn't go through due process, right? For example, in areas in Batokunku, Jamela of vast land in Batokunku, when they allocated a property to Suku in Lamen, right? Lamen call complainta, you will revoke Yedo Diala in Batokunku. And now we know that he has sold that to a real estate agent, right? Now B, you real estate agent to a Korda Jaman Low Water, right? I wafi Gambia dingola. And then Soma Masakunda Donata Kabo, that is the problem here because most of these allocations have not been done properly. They have not followed due process, and then these people are directly disposing it off quickly. Ibawafikan to make their money from it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because
so
you know why they do big.
Yeah, what, for example, you mentioned Batokunku. The Janna Commission talked about Batokunku, that you know, and handed over to government to decide.
Yes.
And then the government, GT board, you know, they came to say that is TDA area. But today, they are giving allocations in the Batokunku. The original people, many Batokunku, many demolished, have nothing.
They have nothing.
Yeah.
And that's the sad part.
And they are fighting.
That's the sad part.
Yeah, right.
So
that place, the Gambia War, and so many other places. So it just shows you that these assets that Jame had taken, and we set up Janna Commission to identify them, and they have made recommendations. The government now in disposing them off through their ministerial committee, refused to follow due process to make sure there is fairness, there is transparency, and they went to allocate these either things in the name of TDA or reserve land and give it to individuals through connections, or give it to businesses, through so-called investors, or give it to people, in companies and so on at a pittance. All right, so that sometimes they give you individuals land, and like they give you for to a land in a very prime area. You now come and sell that land to me. Yeah, understand?
Yep.
And selling that land to me, they make you a millionaire immediately, because a prime land in that coastal area, you are going to sell it for millions of dollars. So you will find that, in the government, public officials, top public officials, people in the private sector, even people in the legal fraternity. So for me, this is why I think they are scared of releasing this report, because we would see whether lawyers, all right, connected lawyers, we would see connected business people, we would see insurers, we would see, individuals, former civil servants, and so on, even politicians having land that, because not just in the Gambia area, you go behind Brusubi and Tanje and Tranquil, there are lands that they have distributed to people. They have given lands, to parliamentarians, but they just classify those lands as reserve land, state land, TDA, layout, and then they go and give people simply because they hold public office. So basically self-enrichment. And this is why all members should insist that this report come out. Yes. Because the ministerial committee cannot say, what audit are you doing? What comprehensive report? You are telling me since 5 years ago, when you people are meeting 2019, 2020, 2018, you never wrote anything down? Your decisions were verbal? What is that?
Yeah, what were the criteria for the allocations? Who were they allocated to? What were the the procedures that were followed? I think these are things that we need to know. But the National Assembly said they are going to launch an inquiry. And somebody said to me, we have all seen, obviously, we have all seen the Minister of Justice several times going to the Assembly and parliamentary questions being given to him to tell us the sale of these JAMA assets, who's bought them, the list and all the stuff. We have all heard that. But the minister on many occasions have told us that at some point he gave, I think, about 45 names to the National Assembly members out of the 266, right? That was identified first. I want people to also remember that another plot of lands were identified after the 266. We need to know that. It's not just this 266.
So here's the thing. Okay.
Go ahead.
Quarter another, there was no transparency, like we say earlier on. My mother selling Nana at Serekunda Market, or my auntie selling Nana at Laming, or my stepmom selling Charlie Simbo at Bakau. We are not the people, or are not the people who benefited or who bought these things, because they are not even aware. And even if they are, they will not have the opportunity. So the reason why Imam Para thinking that, because Iyake Fankotolti, Idamole at Talanyo Tema. But if the government is serious about transparency, what is still keeping this government not to release this phone call? Because Maria Memfo is those so-called elites. Yeah, I don't even like hear this word. That those insurance brokers, many alonko, ordinary people in Benbenyo Kansiloka. Idamole awa enyo tema. Karite ninta. What they fail to understand, time does not run against the state. You see the way they set up commission against Jami. Similar thing is going to happen. And that will go beyond and see. Because here you will be accountable for it. This is a government mengalonke mambala fasoro. Ye barola man sakunda yamela ni fengol firti fata jana ya di mol. People who struggle, many alonko, it has to take them 5, 7, 10 years to build a house. Buy a land and build a house. It ato lela bungol boy in the sukuta. It ato lela bungol boy in the salaji. A balafa tela. You cannot just imagine. How can you just come like that? It'll make comfortable motor borindika. In a doing comfortable soul corner. But you demolish somebody's house in the name of Femco. It'll baffle a there is no reserve land in that country. I heard one lady even said, "Ko eke family to build that house." So ida mango levening kokono, yatala temale, and a day will come. And ni father, they will go after your family. Kweko, alala closer to ele, alfama, yemendi alabama, fintina because it doesn't belong to her or a masoro anyanta kasoro silomenka.
Definitely.
So, yeah. So, do you think the ministerial, the National Assembly inquiry? I spoke to yesterday, Honorable, the majority leader, Mia Anansko, they are doing an inquiry. Was supposed to come on my show, but later on, Amanano, because I called, they were working on the extraordinary session. He said they have the numbers. They have the numbers. They are going to call an extraordinary session before the June session. I had Yaya Sanyang and others say that was not necessary. We asked the questions. You were defending the minister. You blocked us even proceeding these questions. So already Modoluko, they don't have faith in that inquiry, but at least we should be grateful that the assembly is trying to do an inquiry into this, and so that we know what is the information on baby hiding. At least with this inquiry, they will be able to summon people and give us, because most of the information,
But let me interrupt you here. Who are they going to summon? Who are they going?
They will,
Is it not
no,
the same Dawda Jallo?
yeah, but at least this time maybe I have documents all natural for.
You see, we have to be ning commission baro ni mello ning parliamentary committee because you know this National Assembly menka drill is about personal interest and ila particular interest.
Yeah.
Why is Bile Tunkara talking about this thing? Why do they have to set up a committee for what? This is simple. Young people are on the street. If you are serious about this, just go and join them. If you put your the nation before inner interest or inner particular interest, they should have been with those young people there. We don't need those things.
Yeah, but Omar, also there's a reason we have institutions and structures and laws. So National Assembly, by way of process as an institution, would have, if they have to look at this, it would require, it to be looked through a committee, existing committee, or they can set up a special committee like they did with COVID. So, which in principle is welcome, all right? But then it is not enough, because the point is, you can have a committee. We have the COVID committee, for example. At the end of the day, millions got lost in COVID. We have the Fenge committee, the Aki committee. Nothing came out of it. The latest committee working, all right, is the petroleum committee, the petroleum sagani. You know that inquiry, I think now is coming to 1 year or 2 years.
Oh yeah.
So if National Assembly rightfully should set up a committee to look at this. But then the issue is, are they going to do it with the best of intentions and commitment to make sure there is going to be transparency and accountability, or will they do it to stifle this whole thing so that we set up a committee, hearings 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and things start to go down? Who hears the petroleum committee meeting now? You know, we had some people from GRA, from central bank, from the commercial banks, from the ministry. But where are we with that? The Aki that, the Aki that people came and testified and cried there. But then what has happened? So these are things we need to remind National Assembly members that, they cannot, give us another phony committee only to use it as a way to, wipe off this thing, and then life continues as usual. All right. Yeah. But I mean, for me, yes, we need that. But why cannot the president tell the attorney general, or the attorney general, the police to set up a criminal investigation? Because it is very clear that laws were violated. It was very clear that materials were disposed of in a manner that does not meet any basic standards. And so the resources of Jame, because government should have more than we know, because it's not just about what Janna Commission gave them. I think must be Pabojang, or
that's what
or
I said. It's
Okay, but what one time came to say there are many other properties.
Yeah. Yes. No,
I think one of the press conferences
they said that the APRC folks say that,
yeah. So meaning those properties, because government is government, they can follow and know and have everything. All right. So where are those properties? If Fabagatomanyara said that, so where are those properties? That is all information that the government should give us.
But did you even see the list that was released by Rambo Jata that he allegedly compiled with Jame before, like in a few years before Jame left? So he's talking about containers of certain things that, so there is so much out there. There's so much out there that we don't have a comprehensive report. And that itself is a problem. There was no proper institution that took over the work of the Janna Commission. But even before the Janna Commission, when this government took over, to make sure, because you could see the reason why even the Janna Commission started disposing of some of the Jame assets is because people were stealing. People were stealing his watches. People were stealing his TVs. People were stealing his aladoko akatama minna. People were stealing stuff from his house. And that was one of the reasons why the Janna Commission even said, you know what, disposable items, let's get the receiver to take the auctioneer there to go and sell some of these things. So there was no proper management of the Jame assets when the government took over. I think that was what happened.
But they should have done that, because I mean, you should have known this kind of exercise that you want to do. What does it take? What does it entail? All right. So so for me, I think it is all deliberate. All right. Early on, it was observed that Jame left, and people began to take things, and then they had the opportunity and they just did it, because I mean, why give us a receiver here? Why couldn't you have created a commission, a committee, standing committee somewhere to deal with these things?
Exactly.
All right, but they failed to do all of those things, and I think they enjoyed the plunder of these assets. I mean, and then to the best. So anytime they speak to us, they try to speak to us about some process. All right, make reference to certain process, certain law, certain actions, but that is just the the tip of the iceberg. That is just a minor thing that you did. For example, I see this one page. I think that's what you mentioned. The 35 or so list that which came as a parliamentary question some 3 years ago, and then they provided that one page. Now that page is from a document, So where is the document? Because if you
Where's the document?
If you can put all that together in a page, and you look at the formatting of that, information, this is from an organized document. But you go and select one page.
Do you think there's a comprehensive list, or are they hiding it? Because I'm thinking maybe they don't even have the proper. Do you think they have, or are they hiding it?
They're hiding it. It is there. Look, I mean, which is also would constitute negligence. That is to take decisions and actions on public functions, public affairs, without documenting it, and then you cannot account for it. That is a crime of its own. All right. So I don't think they like nothing is there. I think all the reports are there. As I told you, apart from Janna Commission's report, because that came from Janna Commission. All right. But Janna Commission also had submitted supporting documents as annexes to this body. Furthermore, because these are government agencies, they have also collected information from different government ministries, departments, and agencies. All right. So they have no shortage of information, honestly. They have no shortage of information. So what should happen, really? I mean, now we should have seen Janna Commission or the Ministry of Justice website, a whole page dedicated to information about the Janna Commission, which it should be a national repository, like a national archive. Yeah, that should be a national archive. So that for the next possible future, that document will be there, accessible to the public. Looking at, I mean, Jammeh paid, but like I said, a tent for $88, 88,000, I mean, million.
Yeah.
A tent. Now, we need to see the receipt of that tent. We need to see who went to purchase that tent. We need to see the voucher, that is the quotation, the quote, I don't know the business how you call it. If you want to buy something, the quote, the request for quote.
Yeah,
we need to, all of those, and I believe all of those are there because in Morocco they bought that tent in Morocco, and then you don't go to the market, by the roadside where you go and buy something, you put it in your pocket and go home. This is a tent, it's massive. So there must be a quote, a voucher. I mean, a quote, a voucher, a payment, a receipt, and so on. So all of these are documents that I was thinking with the new government that replaced Jammeh, knowing the corruption, the abuse of office, I mean all the things about Jammeh, this government would have put things in their proper shape. So that today, they would have put these things in logs, in categories, in boxes, so that one can go and check. I mean, Fatu, you go to some place like UK now, all right, or even America, you want records of the American Civil War more than 100 years ago. You will go and find, you find Second World War. You go and find letters that came that were sent. That is supposed to be. That is the nature of government, to be organized, to be situated on transparency and accountability. And knowledge building, because that is what also is what you used to learn to build a sort of society in the future. Yeah. So we cannot come this far. At the end of the day, if we raise the question as Gambians, what have we learned from the Janna Commission about the Gambia, or from the TRRC? What would we say? We can go and point to the TRRC documents. There are 13 or 15 volumes. We can go and point to the Janna Commission 9 volumes. But beyond and above that, there are many other information that we cannot know, or we don't have. They are not sharing. And those are all important. That's why in the Gambia, Janna Commission and TRRC are not major conversations because people are limited in the knowledge, other than the hearings that they had. It has never become a subject because government itself has never gone beyond the TRRC hearings, the submission of the report, to make TRRC and Janna Commission a subject of conversation in the country. So at the end of the day, we went through all this process, but we have not learned from it. So if that is the case, is it any wonder today the police are, brutalizing our youth, detaining our youth, putting them in cells? It means we have not had time to have a conversation about these things.
About all of this. So, we will come to that because I want to bring Nene on that. I'll call Nene so that they can update us. Before we go to that, now, when everything happened, the report came out, the former minister also issued a statement in his own defense, and then the National Assembly said they were going to do a parliamentary inquiry. The Media Council invited Mustafa for a meeting, and we saw the press release yesterday from the GPU. I was on a show. I mean, obviously, I heard about this meeting before 3 days ago, but I was shocked about what I heard. Even though I was not there, but the statement that I saw from the GPU when I came out of my show last night, I was shocked, even though I heard about this incident, but I was shocked and sad that something like that will come from any of those gentlemen that I hold so high, the National Human Rights Commission chair, Emmanuel, I was shocked. The Emily Toure, the head of the Media Council. Madi, when you hear something like that, what does that say for the Media Council head or a member of the chairman of the National Human Rights Commission to directly tell the Mustafa to issue a joint statement that will exonerate Batanbedo. Because if anybody believes, I mean, if the story really exonerates Ba, there was no need for that statement. Whatever people perceive is the perception of the people, as long as it's not coming from the story. But what do you make of these allegations that Mustafa made to the GPU?
Yeah, it is one of those things that really, hit you, and you have all these mixed feelings because when you look at it, the people involved, you hold them in high esteem, and as individuals, but also the institutions they represent, you also recognize and value those institutions. And then to see them make such a serious misjudgment, you try to understand what is driving them, really, because the idea of a joint statement, I mean, this is just unthinkable. It's unheard of anywhere.
Yeah.
And but by what they profess as individuals, as Emmanuel, as Emil, as Babakar, as people who believe in human rights and justice and transparency and accountability. Now, even if Ba is your friend or your family or whatever, that is the last thing you want to tell him to do. I mean, you would want to tell him, to find other ways to clear his name than really to seek to transform or to, change a story or just what they want to do. I mean, Tonya for Teria, maybe I was here, but I mean, I'm shocked. I'm disappointed. I'm really surprised, and I think it is just the Gambia, but in a normal society, they should be told to resign. I mean, they should resign since the matter came out. But I mean, they should resign, immediately, because I've seen since then NHRC issue a statement, and the public reaction to that statement is not pleasant. So
yeah,
I think
they issued two statements. They issued a statement to condemn the arrest of the young people,
that's what I
right?
mean,
That is, no, they issued another one right now whilst we're on the show. Somebody just
Okay.
brought it to my, Boba just sent it to me regarding this issue. I'm gonna read it, right?
Okay.
The first one obviously is on the page, but the National Human Rights Commission reaffirms its independence, impartiality, and commitment to human rights for all. The National Human Rights Commission is deeply concerned by recent allegations circulating on social media and in statement attributed to the Gambia Press Union, which falsely claim that the commission and its chairperson are biased, impartial, and involved in influencing media narratives in favor of individuals under investigation. The NHRC categorically denies these unfounded and misleading allegations. Since its inception, the NHRC has concluded its work with the highest standards of, conducted its work with the highest standard of professionalism, integrity, and impartiality. As an independent national human rights institution, the NHRC mediates disputes, monitors human rights violations, investigates alleged human rights violations by state organs and individuals, and advises government institutions and public on human rights issues. And this is done in accordance with its legal mandate and without fear or favor. The Commission is guided by principles of fairness, independence, and respect for all persons, regardless of religion, ethnicity, political affiliation, gender, or social status. It does not and will not serve the interests of any individual or group to detriment of its constitutional role. We therefore call on the public, media, actors, and civil society stakeholders to engage the NHRC in a spirit of responsibility and mutual respect. We encourage constructive dialogue and the verification of facts before making public assertions that can undermine the public trust in the Commission and its important work. The NHRC remains unwavering in its duty to promote and protect the freedom of all of people in the Gambia. We thank the public for its continued trust and reaffirm our commitment to transparency, accountability, and justice for all. So this statement, though, the statement is talking about the institution itself, but the GPU statement was talking about a meeting. The commission did not address that. The GPU statement is talking about an incident that happened, a meeting that happened that allegedly the chairperson of the commission. Number one, if it is the media council that is inviting Mustafa, because Ba has the right if Mustafa defames him, because we have been reported to the media council on occasions. When somebody goes to the media council and say, Kirfato have written this, the media council have written to us or invited us or even came to meet us. We had an incident where that happened, right? But in this instant, the media council did not even invite Mustafa to their office. They invited Mustafa to the office of the chairperson of the Human Rights Commission. What role does the chairperson of the Human Rights Commission have in the media council? Number one, we need to find out. Why was that meeting summoned at the Human Rights Commission chair's office? We need to ask about that. But number three, also, the commission, they are not addressing that particular incident. They're talking about generally. And the GPU statement was very direct. It did not talk about the commission as a whole. It talked about, I mean, let's be honest, it only talked about the meeting that the commission chair was involved in. So I mean, to be honest, this statement is not even making it even nice for the commission itself. Other people, other members of the commission are getting involved in something that they were not directly quoted in the statement. Let's be honest. Mustafa, Madi, what is your reaction to this statement?
No, what you have read, I'm sure I will read it closely, but what you have read, what I have got from there, is very disappointing. It's very disappointing. And I had assumed that the Human Rights Commission is composed of honest and decent men and women as commission, and they will stick to the facts, as they are. Their statement did not acknowledge, is practically denying, I think the GPU statement. All right, but has Mustafa gone to meet in their office or not? All right, it did not speak to that. And the issue is about their chairperson calling, being part of a meeting taking place in their office with the Media Council. The National Human Rights Commission, it's human rights, but it is not it's not media council. And media reports, complaints are not put before them. All right, and, they are put before the media council. And so for them to take part in something like this, and it is not they, in fact, it is their chairman. So I think what they should have really done is to hold their chairman accountable. All right. What has their chairman told them? What do they know about the meeting that their chairman had, about this? So
Madi, let me read the GPU statement just for the viewers. I think it's important, right?
Yeah.
The GPU condemns MCG, that is the Media Council, human rights leaders, for pressuring journalists to exonerate Ba Tambadou. The Gambia president has learned with shock an attempt by the leadership of the Media Council and of the Gambia and the National Human Rights Commission to get the Republic to issue a statement that seeks to exonerate the former Minister of Justice, Ba Tambadou, of an alleged wrongdoing in a story published by the investigative outlet in April 30, 2025. The story, The Assets of the Gambia Former Dictator Go for a Song, raised a number of concerns, including the lack of transparency, corruption, conflict of interest in the sale of the assets of the former President Yahya Jammeh. In an attempt to protect the reputation of the former minister, the MCG Executive Secretary by Emily Toure invited Mustafa Kabo, the outlet's chief editor-in-chief, to a meeting with the Media Council that was scheduled for the 6th of May, 2025 at the NHRC office in Kotu without prior notice of the subject of the meeting. Together with chairperson of the MCG Governing Council, Babakar Cham, and the chairperson of the NHRC, Emmanuel Juve, the three leaders of the two institutions, lay out the following on behalf of BA, clearly based on public perception of the story and the opinions members of the public formed after reading the story. 1, that the story has caused confusion. 2, it has been misunderstood as an indictment of the former ex-minister Ba Tambedu. 3, Tambedu was given 5 days to reply, suggesting that the Republic was unfair. 4, that the Republic refused to give due consideration to Ba Tambedu's opinion. That 5, that the magnitude of the harm being done to Ba Tambedu is huge. Number 6, that the wording going around suggests that Mustafa was paid to do the story. Number 7, that the timing is bad considering Ba is a nominee for the position of a judge at the International Court of Justice. The leaders of the MCG and NHRC concluded by asking Mustafa to consider the idea of a joint statement with Ba where they will declare that our story did not indict the former minister, and that the people misunderstood it. The Republic has rejected the idea of a joint statement. It is the GPU's view that the Republic story has not breached any ethical standard and conforms with the Chernojalo chapter of Ethics of Journalists provision that requires journalists to uphold public right to fair, accurate, and balanced information and issues of events and public interest. The GPU therefore condemns the action of the leadership of the MCG and the NHRC for pushing an agenda that would compromise the professionalism of the Republic and the ethical journalism standards. It is rather unfortunate that these two leaders of the MCG and NHRC would even entertain the unacceptable agenda to get the Republic to issue a joint statement with Tambedu to protect his reputation through, even though they are of the view that he is not indicted in the story. And to insinuate that Mustafa may have been paid to do this story is crazy. GPU Secretary General Juve said. So it's a long story, but a statement, I cannot read all of it. But the thing is, these people are talking about an alleged meeting. I mean, wouldn't it be nice for the Human Rights Commission to tell us, yes, this meeting happened, or it didn't happen, or these allegations, all of these 7 points that the GPU put, because I know the GPU is also part of the civil society, right? And we work, the GPU leadership work with the Human Rights Commission, the Bar Association, all of these human rights civil society groups. So if the GPU can come out, because when I saw this statement, I'm like, this was too bold of the GPU, because the Human Rights Commission is part of the GPU. We're all part of the broader civil society group. For them to come out and put out a statement like this, you know that they're really concerned about the pressure that was put on Mustafa. So you don't think that the Human Rights Commission should have come out and addressed all these individual points that were raised by the GPU, instead of just telling us to have more confidence in them, to say, you know what, all these allegations are not, they are not addressing the issue. The elephant in the room, they are not addressing it.
So the first point is, did the meeting take place or not? All right. So NHRC should, I mean, that is what they should say.
Yes,
that
did it happen or not?
Yeah, did the meeting happen or not? And what was the purpose of the meeting? What was discussed in the meeting? What was agreed or not agreed in the meeting? And it is their chair. Was that meeting in the name, under the auspices of the NHRC as an institution, or is the chair having, a private meeting also, which would be ridiculous anyway, given the institutions there. So I think it's disappointing that they would issue a statement like this. This is, they are now, discrediting the National Human Rights Commission by themselves. Because, if they want to hide or ignore what GPU raised, and, because nobody is saying they don't trust the NHRC and so things like that. So why are you making this appear as if people are questioning the independence or the impartiality of the NHRC? Based on what GPU said, they did not mention NHRC as an institution as involved. It is the chairperson, all right, and you know, and these other parties that came there. So acknowledge that, and then we take it from there. But I mean, I think it's rather unfortunate. I mean, again, this culture of denial of you know, I mean, disinformation, you know, just to attempt to mislead people. I don't think that is good for the credibility of the Human Rights Commission. And I think from henceforth, the reputation of the Human Rights Commission is at stake. And I think they need to deal with their chairperson, really. I mean, you know, to tell them the full information as to what happened. All right. Otherwise, but I mean, because I mean, as you said, GPU is a reputable organization like the National Human Rights Commission. GPU will not sit on its own to, you know, come with such a heavy statement out of the blue. So, I mean, that is serious. So, but they have not addressed the GPU statement at all. You know, so
they have not addressed it.
Barely say that, you know, it is false that they are sort of you know, want to support somebody on the investigation. The story is more than that. First and foremost, did the meeting take place? Why did the meeting take place? What was discussed in the meeting? That is what people need to know, the facts. All right, but you know what people should think, or what is the, you know, NHRC involved, you know, interested in, or is independent, impartial. I mean, that is not the question. That's not the issue at all. You know.
Yeah.
Hopefully
we will hear from the media. Hopefully we will hear from the media council also before the end of the day, because this is such a serious allegation, and hopefully we will hear from them as well. But now, you know, because of all of this, you know, the young Gambians, you know, came out to protest yesterday, and they went to the police to get a permit. And I know you are an advocate of why should we even get permit? We should not, because you know, that has been your thing. You are even against that idea of even getting a permit. But they went to the police to get a permit, and I was looking at something that Marnyang put out yesterday. Every time there's a request for a permit against anti-corruption issues, it is denied by the police. Every time those things happen. When people wanted to go give a permission at the National Assembly for the FGM issue, they issued it. They issued it. But when people, anytime people want to protest against anti-corruption issues, they will deny the permits. You know, it looks like there's something they're scared about when it comes to corruption and corruption-related issues. These young people, you know, one thing I said yesterday, I said, even if it was 5 people, the determination and zeal that I saw in their eyes. When the first batch were arrested, I was watching it live. When the police van came, they just put one person and all of them jumped. They, in fact, wanted to be arrested because they wouldn't want any one person to go. They wanted to volunteer because they believed in what they were doing. Madi, it seems like the never again mantra that we all saying is just a facade. It's not anything that is a reality on the ground.
Well, and yeah, public officials are not learning. If anything, they are not learning. They are not learning lessons, and which is very tragic, you know, given their position, their role, you know, in the governance, in the development of the country. You know, and you know, as far as, you know, I'm concerned, and as an organization, we issued a statement. We consider the arrest to be unlawful because, you know, yes, people have got to used to seeking permit anytime they want to assemble. But what is in the law actually is that if you are going to engage in a procession that is moving from point A to point B, you will need a permit. If you're going to use a public address system, you need a permit. That's in the Public Order Act in sections 5 and 6. So in the absence of that, you don't need a permit, all right? So that the police also, where they notice people are not moving from point A to point B, and people are not using a loudspeaker, but just assembling at one point, they should just provide them the security and leave them to be. But the Gambia police force, unfortunately, either they don't know the law or they just disregard the law. They assume that even to hold a press conference, they will come and disperse it as if people need a permit to hold a press conference. I mean, you've seen all of those things here. You know, so you mentioned Mar, you know, sometime last year, I think, they requested for a permit. Again, it's related to corruption because about the ferries. And you know, this was denied only for them to decide to have a sit-in at the Never Again Memorial Arch in Banjo. And sitting there, again, the police came and picked them up. Since then, they've charged them. But again, what happens is they don't go further. And that in itself is abuse of power, is disregard of the rule of law. You know, because you cannot arrest people suspected of doing something. You put them through a process, and you know, and then you abandon the process just like that. So you got a lot of people who, I mean, have been arrested, I mean, charged at the police station, and then, you know, they left abandoned, and like in my case, they even take your phone and refuse to give you back your phone. Yeah, and these are all lessons we should have learned, you know, from the TRRC. And we are not learning. Yeah, and we are not learning, and we are seeing the same thing happening, and it is so disheartening because over the years, the past 17 years, there has been a lot of investments by donors, by partners into the police to help them in terms of police reforms. They've talked about undergoing a lot of trainings. They've developed policies. The National Human Rights Commission itself helped them to develop a code of conduct as well as guidelines for, you know, for policing public assemblies. And these are all tools that are available to them, but continuously we see the police reverting back to their old ways.
Always. Madi, I'm going to come back to you. I have Nene because they have been going around since yesterday, and for her to give us update as to what is happening with the over 17 to 20 young people who have been arrested. Nene? Yeah. Nene, welcome to this special panel. Folen nek yen kay for depuis demba yena ngay ran motax biñ ne protest mané la yo bul dem yo bo demé yo buñ la arresté dina metti yo togal su arresté yo nga dem round because yo someone because you know that this was gonna come. But what update lan ngeen mëna jox bu ngeen éwo tay ba tay demba ba tay fan ngeen dem fan la boys yi nekka and what is their spirit? Can you guys, hold on, can you guys hear Nene properly? I just want to make sure. Are you guys able to hear Nene properly? Let me see the comments if you are able to hear Nene properly. Yes, go ahead, Nene. No, hold on, because you want to know. I think the money blue. Hi, Nene. Nene? Oh, okay, go ahead. Mun nga ñëw start.
Wow. So li ma doon wax mooy ma ne biñ nga first side, second side, if you yogulen, dump leen the police station before in Banjul headquarters. So ñoom ñëpp dañ leen dugal si cell before noonu. For at least a couple of hours or so, then you start dealing not like military force because they brought other people from your jail statements. But what they did was when first started statements, you realize coordinated, so they decided to separate them. So statements in any police station charge obviously. So I mean I could say that they didn't say anything else. They invoked their right to remain silent. They were not gonna say anything else or whatever. Regardless, there were charges read to them, which they all denied, those charges, pleaded not guilty. Because they feel that it's their right for protest and feel that they're dara. So when they did all that, you compile but in the interim, it was not conducive. Because the extent was horrible. Wow. So most of them were feeling dizzy, feeling bad, So I mean, we were out there complaining back and forth, feeling on them. So eventually, Morgan get this stopped by that.
So Nene, can you say that again? Because that is, are you saying Finland detainee? There was mainly essence or something. Wouldn't done sonal put you a proper inhaling.
Yeah, exactly. The ventilation was not good. In addition to that, there was a smell. Some of them will tell you penturla, some of them will tell you essence. One of those, the smell was very bad and unbearable. So Bob was really getting disturbed with that and starting out to mom you up for them to be open cell disability. Air while they were back and forth. So eventually, I guess they got instruction then the transfer. So they came and told them that they know them. That's when we intercepted and say, you cannot just take them. You communicate to us and tell where you're taking them. So I intercepted and say, everybody calm down and just let us handle it. Because tension was very high, and when people are talking, they get agitated, these officers. So after point to calm down and just kept quiet. So we were talking to them. But of course, somebody first said to me, instruction and anti-crime. But I guess down the line, you realize I give them talk, and one of the places from them monitor anti-crime. And tension between melon because we were gonna go there. So they decided and the strategy was to take away so that until IGP so they started doing the distribution from police station to police station. But of course, the first place from Banjul was CIU headquarters in Carnington. So for almost an hour or more, why Motobi. And is also complain why the car was the ventilation in the cars that they put there. So it was hot. Motobi, and it was not conducive at all. You come out and the CIU Buneka City in a calendar of Carnington. Plain come out the retail one to the next year. You them guide them Banjulinding. You drop back. You get Banjulinding. You them Pirkama Misera. Pirkama Misera.
Wow.
You drop pattern. You get Pirkama Misera. You them Yumpana. You drop Yundum. You get Yundum. You them Bursubi police station. You drop that. You get Bursubi police station. You them Burfoot PIU. Fofunono. Binjoge Fofuno. You them Sanyang. Binjoge Sanyang. Then last drop of place we money on Wellingara. Fofulang drop. Galas at Usenu Gambia. And those two I want to commend them because ñom dañ bañ na duñ watcha because they wanted to account for everybody who ñen di watché.
Yeah.
So ñom mujé watcha.
Oh.
Wow. So ñom dañ bañ na duñ watché because they wanted to account for ne ñi nekkon ci moto ñi ci yépp ñaari moto yi ñom dañ bëgg xam fa la ñoo watché ku nekk. So ñoom ñaar lañ mujjee wàccee Wellingara ci guddi boobu noonu so léegi ñun après ñu delluwaat pour foot so pour foot lañ nekk ko dana parce que pour foot biñu fa demee gars dañ fa ñoon pour ñu account ko kana fa ne ko ñu tax ñu suñu ne duñ dem dañ xam kana lañ ko wàccee right so léegi eventually ñu xam kana lañ fa nekk waaye ñun balañ faa jógee sax ci xaajaat nañ leen right ñu génnee leen ci bunti gannaaw bi ñu yóbbu leen so we did not even know where they took them because there were 9 of them there ñu jël 6 yóbbu leen ñu bàyyi fa 3 so when we got the notice we started making calls and everything else they wouldn't tell it was until this morning we knew ne 6 yi fa jëlee anti-crime lañ leen yóbbu waaye even at anti-crime 6 la they took another 2 from anti-crime Banjulinding and took them away. So those 2, we have not ascertained yet. As we speak, Kisangwing those 2, Funyan Yobongo, while we are still going around to finalize everywhere else they did the drop-offs. So, I mean, now, nearest student, he arrested Monica, the district student. Kenaki, mom, we have confirmed because the internet station didn't cut your Banjulinding. Confirming who release Nenko. Right, on bail. So the other student is at Bruceby with Nyam Sonko Gambia. We know them for take a Fukutai and Winko. Why we've communicated with headquarters and they told us to call Nenko Kunono for New Baiko. So this is the situation that. But the sad thing is right now, I mean, some places they allow the lawyers access to talk to the clients. The detainees, some places they denied us access.
Deny them access for new hacks and lawyers.
Yes, exactly.
And also, what about their family members? Because whatever the case, they should have access to legal representation and family.
They told us that they have instructions that these people should be in communication. They should not talk to anybody. These are the instructions they got.
What does that mean? Where is that instruction coming from? Are they criminals? Are they under drug charges? Are they under treason trial? Why? Why incommunicado?
Absolutely not. Because the charges are what? You know,
unlawful assembly.
Unlawful assembly and breach of peace. Those are the 2 charges, right? So there is nothing heinous. Do what they can put them in communicado. But the worst of it all, they swing them round. Give them anti-crimes. What's the name? GALA. Why the GALA to that? Salif GALA, whatever. I think so. And all is the police will know. Because what that? My boy. Exactly. I mean, right when we got in there, they didn't by surprise. Because the police recruit so there was nobody to even attend to us. Then before we saw somebody. Right? So, but then they get because this Salif was being beaten.
Beaten?
Oh yeah. So you think how understand that we saw, you know, them in there, you know, beating him mercilessly. And right now he's in a state where we have asked them to take him to the hospital and they have called for a vehicle to take him to the hospital at this point in time.
As we speak, Salif is being taken to the hospital because of Denkodur.
Denkodur, you made it.
Wow.
Yeah. So bobu mom is not new net, so mom mo ñu ko netalel man la Babukar Nyang lawyer AJ Njai ak lawyer LS Camara. It is in our presence. Te biñ duggé ñu génné ko ba paré ñu kof ko. So biñ duggé ñu génné ko, we asked them to remove the cuff. They remove it. Mu talk so mu ngi mir and everything else. The gañ nañ ko ci bopa. It was bleeding. So we've requested na def am pour dem l'hôpital. Parce que moom ci boppam mu ne mu ngi miir munta lii gis butan bi ne ko di gis properly LS def ko eye test are you know so LS na you know what you have to take him to the hospital right now. If you're not taking him, we will arrange for him to be taken to the hospital. So ñoom ñu ne nañ ko yóbbu sa hospital. So this is the situation right there. And the boys also ñu fa nekkal, the 3 other boys, they've confirmed. And the reason why ñu dóor ko dañ leen mu génn si ñu ne dañoo jël fingerprint. So moom mu ne mu ask the question why rek naka officer bi dóor ko ci boppam knock ko understand ñu ñaaw ko su ko wam dóor yu métti. This is the only question why the fingerprint. So he dafa ubbi bunta bi rek ne ko fucking naajang understand so moom mu jóg génn si understand rek ko ku ne
So ngane ko kuna kala tura Salifu
Jalo.
Jalo.
Jalo la sante. I have to confirm my
Confirm
name
that.
because
So
I have my notes on my phone that everywhere we go we note. Why didn't I text me?
so we can
the correct name.
So we can confirm that Salifu, one of the detainees, Ben Station Laneka.
Anti-crime Banjulunding.
Anti-crime Banjulunding. Nyoko.
Wow.
Wadu the same anti-crime nyo doron borabe them dump kosion.
Okay.
Okay. So you know, they should understand that they have another legal case in their hands, because
so you joge fofu non right now ñu ngi ñew naka all yundum tam am na ñu fi nekk so ñu ngi all yundum right now su paré ñu ngi dem anti crime bu nekk Jaabang because fofu non tam wax nañ ñu ne information ne am na ñu yóbbu fofu non ñeneen ñi xaajaale woon fofu la gaay nekk so we have to go there also and ascertain because the numbers are not adding up and we still have to account for everybody that was arrested at the police station in Banjul.
Wow. You guys. So what is the spirit of the boys? How are they holding? What are they, what is?
No, they're okay. But you know what, man, I'm proud of these boys. They're so super strong. You go in there and the boys tell you, you know what, I know I haven't done anything wrong. They can hold me here anytime, any day. But when they release me, I am going out there to finish what I started.
Yeah.
That is the spirit. That is what every one of them is telling you.
Wow.
If they release me even next month, I will continue where I stop.
Yes,
I'm not going to stop. You know, we are talking to them, we are coaching them, we are counseling them. But then, even though they are in different police stations, different cells, everybody is speaking the same language. I am not relenting. I am not stopping. I have to continue. So.
Wow, you guys are also doing an amazing job. Yeah, depuis suba man we hala kole suba munu ñoo jéxali wax sax yéna ngeen go around with the lawyers and we also want to thank those lawyers definitely.
Oh, sure, they're amazing. Honestly, since yesterday when everybody came and said, you know what, I'm in you know, there's a different police station, you know, to see them and whatever. In the morning they were denying everybody access. That's the reason LS, you know what, no, I can stay because LS had to get to Lao on Kumunyo.
Wow.
So Hadito was coming with us. But then when they say no, LS is like, no, I'm not taking that. LS is a favor. I'm put up son buba, the one motom you fake you cruise to the police station and tell them this is a constitutional right. I'm a legal counsel representing them. I have to talk to them. You know, that we spend there almost an hour or two. Finally they said, okay, we can see them soon you in the land. So there's no no way. I am not going to talk to my client who is behind a bar, behind those bars, while I'm standing here talking to them. I'm cancelled out. So when we do the back and forth with the police headquarters, eventually they spoke to them to say they can allow us. But even with that, we have two police stations, Johanna, they refuse to allow us access. And one of them is Mizera, in where Kurang is. And you know, even before they told us to stand behind the counter and talk to them from the cell, they had to ask us to wait for the longest time. In the reinforcement, a whole battalion of PIU officers with riot gears, with everything else, fully geared. We call it quit. I'm not doing that. So we had to leave. So in Mizera, we could not have access to those people, and that's where Alaji Kurang is.
So Mizera Alaji Kurang, what kind of a name?
Hakim Mufa. I forgot the other boys, three of them.
This is crazy.
Well, if you're explaining it, somebody will think it's an exaggeration. I wish you were with us everywhere we were going. You see the situation, you know. You'll be asking yourself, am I in another country?
So you know, ñom kura do len mëna am access lawyer bisa amut access pour gis len.
No, they wouldn't even remove them from where they are behind bars.
Légui yeen bi ngeen taxawé ñu indi battalion pour ñu soraan len. Xana yeen da ngeen am ay gannaay, da ngeen amé ay gannaay?
No, nothing.
Okay.
Nothing. So LS is like, we're not doing it, forget it. You know, after being Detainee, somebody called and said, no, you guys go, they will bring them out. LS is like, no, we are not even going to see them under the condition that is here. You know, why would they send a reinforcement just because they need to bring these people? So LS is like, no. So we left.
So after fofu nonu fan ngeen ba kan mo len ay access tam ñan ngeen amut access tamit?
Which place did we not have access again? I think there are two places when you have access. Two places for them.
Misira and another place.
Okay. They will not bring them out of the cell for us to talk to. All the other places inside the office, in one of the offices, somebody's office, and then we talk to them in there, and then we dispatch.
Wow. Naka suma waji nag baye Sonko xam naa ne moom suñ ko fa bàyyee woon ya sax
mu ngi okay na mu ngi nekk di dalal ñaari xale yi fa nekk moo nekk Salifu ak naka Sam boobu noonu Sam.
Yeah.
So he's really because ñooñu ay xale lañ. They're very, very young, you know. I mean, they're not almost breaking down, but Bayo got it under control and they're good. So for them, they're laughing, they're up spirit, and they're so fired up. They're good. Wow. And they appreciate that at least, you know, somebody is coming there to say, I'm your legal representative, I got it under control, don't worry. That also is really making a huge difference with each and every one of them. You could see the relief in them to say, okay, you know what, somebody is caring for us, somebody is thinking about us. That is a huge deal. And of course, the youths are so fired up. We have a team who's going around delivering breakfast. Right now, we're meeting with them delivering lunch, and we're going to do the same thing for the dinner. You know, their families do not have to worry because we got it under control. They have water, they have juice, they have breakfast, they have lunch, they have dinner. You know, it's coming from everywhere. So that is being taken care of.
Wow.
Wow. They mean business. They mean what they're doing. They mean business.
But Nene, we didn't have to go through this, Nene. We didn't have to go through this.
At all. If you ask me, you did not have to get to this.
Listening to you, Mangi, I'm goosebumps because we didn't have to go through this. I mean, the police, I'm not right for arresting it. Lolu Sisan Dole right la boka. But they also should know the right of the people that they're arresting. Having access to their lawyers and their families. Lolu, basic fundamental right la. Halatu in Gambia te jamono ju nekk nii under Adama Barrow solo standing dafa dee protest la solo standon don def mu dee ni ñi dem jail Gambian bi revolt ni ñi joy ni ñi dee ñu choose President Adama Barrow as the candidate of the coalition ñu ne ñu xeex Jammeh pour génne fi loolu waru ñoo toog tey bés bii ñu ñoo wax ne the same system lu tax ñu génnee Jammeh ñu ñoo wax ne loolu moo fi am ñu ngi dóor ay xale si police station. This is sad.
It's sad. Man, I've had a roller coaster. This is Gambia. You know, dama joy. Why so much just so whole I was like, I have to be strong for them. I have to be strong to keep them going. But at there are moments you have I break down because I just can't. Nerna, yuhuna, huluna, rena, joyna, nila fineke, roller coaster. I'm about to lose my mind. It's like it's just a mood swing of emotion because for them it's different circumstances. For them, different environment, different individuals, they behave in a different way. So it's like you have to adapt to every situation, their behavior, their mannerism, their attitudes. It's a lot. It's a lot. So you can imagine young mineka behind that, what they're going through, what they're dealing. And these are all responsible people. Because they're going through documenting and all that, I respect them more. Kuchineka amna chiloneka. You know, kuchineka amna chiloneka. Kuchineka amna chiloneka. It is pressing. Amna corona tuki. Ticket and everything else. For that dimba ote. We will lose because them you know, amna corona and exam or whatever. Exam is passing. Them amna corona and class. Dimba take a ground those classes, he cannot attend them. So everybody has something very important. So to sacrifice those things for this, let everybody know that they mean business. It's serious. It's important. And it's about everybody.
Thank you so much, Nene, and your team. You're doing an amazing job. Hopefully we'll catch up again. We will have to do these updates every day when you buy land. We'll have
you're muted.
I think I've
Yeah, very disheartening. I mean, I don't know, sometimes you wonder what is the point? What is their game plan? This is not a sustainable way you know, this is not a sustainable way of running
Yeah,
things.
thank you.
You know, if you are elected or appointed in public office, that's a reason why you are there. That's a purpose. There are laws that are there that you need to follow. We have institutions and processes. You know, you have a job to do. So do the job, and part of that job includes allowing citizens to express themselves, to assemble and demonstrate. It is not going to burn down the country. It is not going to kick you out of power. It is just telling you that something is wrong that you need to correct. So deal with that. But this idea of you know, acting like a rogue, you know, like some criminal, like some cartel, simply because you think you have power, so therefore you can arrest people and then, you know, be transporting them from place to place, denying them freedom. I mean, you know, hitting them. You know, so somebody, I don't know, you know, sober would not do something like that, because at the end of the day, I mean, it is not going to last. And the evidence of that, you know, the history of that, we are very much aware of that. So sometimes you wonder why do people keep repeating the same mistakes, you know, only to harm themselves, you know. So it is so, when you think about it, you don't get it, because at the end of the day, there's a job that you are supposed to do, and you are paid for that job, all right? And so do the job well to the best of your ability, and I'm sure if you do that, citizens will recognize that you are doing your best and you are doing it honestly, and you will get support for that. So it's very sad that, you know, this is what we are going through in the Gambia once again. I mean, so it raises the question, what is their game plan? What do they want, really? I mean, the people who have been put in positions of responsibility to perform a task, they did not do their task well. This is why these independent, I mean, the Republic, I don't know why I was saying independent, this Republic, you know, report came. This is why Mustafa, this is why they brought out this thing. So the logical thing, the sensible thing to do as a person of responsibility, as the president, as a minister, and so on, is to do the right thing. So, but when you do these things, you are now giving the confirmation that, you know, things are not right with you, that you have not done the right thing, that you are corrupt. That is what you are just saying, that you are defending, protecting corrupt people, corrupt practices. You know, and therefore you are against the country, because that is what the language they are saying by their actions. They are just saying the best interest of the Gambia is not, you know, what concerns them. They are just saying that they are ready to violate the laws, that they are ready to, you know, disregard ethics and damage public interests. I mean, why would anyone do that? Anyone sensible, particularly to your own people, to your own country, and especially knowing very well that there's a history that we went through and so on. I mean, I can get it. But anyway, I mean, I guess, and this is what we have, and that is the saddest part, you know, as Black people, as Africans, since independence, I mean, you go to every country, this is the story. I mean, like, for how long we are going to be a basket case, to be a case study, to be studied by everywhere in the universities, in the, you know, to be a project proposal, to be a program, you know, a UN program. So everything is about Africa, MDGs, SDGs, you know, I mean, malaria program. So we are just there to be a program, to be a project, to be guinea pigs, simply because we just have our own people who know better, failing to do what should be done, and therefore, you know, creating the situation that we have. Today or yesterday, I have a colleague, you know, in Uganda, in exile, you know, a Ugandan who is in exile, and, you know, lamenting what is in the Gambia. I said, yeah, that is the story. I mean, it's unbelievable that we would remove a brutal dictator, all right? I mean, you know, only for us to now claim to have democracy, and then this is the situation that we are having. You know, but I call you what about? Anyway,
But
it
you
is
know
not,
what?
it is nice talking to you.
But at the end of the day, for me, it's the determination. As we're talking now, we are being told the youths at Westfield are gathering again. You know, the determination, and the fact that they believed in something and they're doing it. You know, and you know the good thing is this morning the youth went there and they protested. Nobody arrested them. If they had let them protest yesterday without arresting them, and they will continue to protest and they will not arrest them. So they should understand that can you mean create it. But finally, Madi, before I let you go, all of this, the president is silent. All of this is happening. The investigative report, Fintitale, allegational nata on the Human Rights Commission and the MCG, and then the protest, Yemol arrest, Bemol Butela, Yemol deny access, La Pamodu Fana is reporting ko, Atata Misirale, I need Mamadukura Kailako, Abeselo Kona Kailako, you know, generally they are good there, but they deny them access to their lawyers. And he just posted that about an hour ago. He denied access to their lawyer and families. So Kura Fanai, all for Pamudu Fanai. But all of this, I'm caring. The president is not saying anything. He's not addressing the nation about these corrupt allegations, me and government involved. For me, I keep saying, this is not about Ba. This is about the government. When Ba was in government, Lenyeng happened as Attorney General. And he is not the only one. There was a ministerial committee that handled these allocations. So it's the government. But the president is not addressing the nation. They're arresting people and they beat somebody that Nene Nyolea Kalamuta. And all of this is happening. The president is just sitting there, not saying anything, Madi. Is this the Gambia you guys fought for? Cabral Gambia has decided. Whenever I see that picture of you, I said, Madi should make sure he takes away all of these pictures from the internet. Because the truth is we have not decided. Should we expect the president to address us?
You know, I mean, it is sad. It is sad. You know, and for me, I mean, I get out of words. Like, how do I describe this? Is it that the president is he scared? Is it that he does not know that something like this is happening? Is he even aware that he is the president of the Republic of the Gambia? And what does that mean? If you say you are the president, what is the meaning of that? Is he in charge? You know, is somebody preventing him from playing his role as president? I mean, how much, you know, authority or influence does he have, you know, as president at State House? I mean, what kind of conversation and who is he having a conversation with, you know? So a lot of things go through my mind because what is fact is that if you are the president, you bear primary responsibility for the situation in your country, all right? Whatever situation it is. And, you know, which means practically every day you have a reason to come and talk to your citizens. And in our case, our president should have been someone talking to us a lot, because having gone through a brutal dictatorship and before that, since independence, so many things are not right. We should have had a president who have a vision as to what kind of Gambia you want to create. What, you know, you should have, you know, identified, you know, certain challenges, ills in our society, in our culture, in our governance, in our development, and, you know, having thought of solutions, ideas about how to move us from point A to point B. And so how, you know, do we do that? And so these are the issues you would have come all the time to talk to Gambians about, you know, how to be better Gambians, how to develop this country, and so on and so forth. So the amount of time a president needs to talk to, you know, his or her citizens is unlimited, you know. But to sit here the whole year, you don't hear the president talk to Gambians except it is New Year or Christmas or Tabaski, and then it is about opening a workshop or a conference. That is it. But to say this evening I have come to talk to Gambians because of the economic situation, because of protests are taking place, because a Gambian was killed somewhere. I mean, we had all these murders, people being hanged, or, you know, suicides, you know. I mean, these are all issues that you as the president should have come to Gambians to say, look, I have noticed this, like all of you, it is a concern. I mean, share your ideas and solutions and, give assurances. I mean, seek people's cooperation and so many things, But we have seen all of those things happen here. I mean, the president is quiet, and now, as you said, he is quiet. So you wonder, where is the president right now at this moment as we are talking? Where is he seated at this point at 6 o'clock in the Gambia? This evening. I mean, sometimes that is what I sit about to think about. Right now, you are sitting where you are. I'm sitting here. We are talking. Somebody is sitting at the beach. Somebody is sitting at a restaurant. Somebody is sitting, maybe taking a nap in his or her bed. Where is the president right now? I mean, is he with somebody? Is he talking? What subject is he talking about? What information is he getting from outside? All right. Now,
while the protest was going on yesterday, they were having a cabinet meeting. There was a cabinet meeting yesterday.
Yeah, but after that cabinet meeting, in fact, every cabinet meeting is an occasion for the president to come out to talk to Gambians. That I have convened my cabinet today. We have discussed this, and this is what we want to do or not do. And you citizens, this is what we want you to do or not to do. So that you really take charge of your citizens. You take the leadership. I mean, because that is what you are. You are the leader. So, I mean, you sit there. I mean, all these things are happening. And so it raises the question, who is running this country therefore? Who is running this country? Yeah. I mean, is it that Barrow doesn't have the capacity to think on his own? Does he have the capacity to express those ideas? Does he have the capacity to understand the environment? And, I mean, exercise his mind towards that environment and come up with, his own analysis and, solutions? I mean, which would be a terrible thing, because we cannot have a president without capacity. I mean, how many times Jomai Faye or Usman Sonko would address Senegalese? And that,
all the time.
That goes for every serious government or country you see with a serious president. That goes for all of them. They are talking to
Jomai have been in government for almost a year, right? They had 2 sit-downs with major news outlets. Like 5 journalists with the president.
Yeah.
Sit down after 100 days. They had a meeting with 5 media outlets. Then the second one, just before they're independent, he had a sit down with almost 7 senior media journalists, and they asked for ranging almost 3 hours conversation from all questions. These are things that build a lot of confidence between you and the citizens. I hope our presidency can look at all these things, and the president comes often to address us. It's very disappointing that we don't hear from them a lot of the times.
Yeah, I mean, it's really worrying because these things are going to the very heart of the peace and stability of this country, because power must be restrained. That means public institutions. The whole concept of rule of law is that power, public institutions, public officials, agents of the state, let them behave within the limits of the law, because that means you are constraining them so that they don't go beyond the law, all right, or below the law. Because when they do that, that is now abuse, that is harm, that is violation, that is corruption. So that, the IG, who looks over the IG, all right, who looks over the National Assembly, who looks over the president. Now, the media is there, the civil society is there. But beyond and above that, in their office, in their decision making, in everything that they do, you are not going to be sitting there as a journalist. I'm not going to be sitting there as an activist. It is only them with the power, because when you look at our constitution, there are 2 things: the state and the people, all right? The constitution grants the people rights and duties. And those rights include needs, like goods and services that they should be given to us, opportunities, and so on. To the state, the constitution gave them only duties, obligations, but it gave them powers, all right? It gave them immunities, and it gave them, benefits. So, and those powers are huge. Those obligations are huge. So in order to make sure the state act within, a certain limit. The concept of the rule of law, that is why in the Constitution, the checks and balances are there, so that, the people who govern act according to that law, so that they don't overstep their bounds. And that is why everywhere, every society you go, there is corruption and abuse of human rights and civil strife and civil war and violence. It is because the state has overstepped its bounds to the point that it has generated a revolt. The Arab Spring came about because, corruption and human rights violations. So one has to understand the nature of the state and why the state exists, how it exists, and so on. So if that is the case, the person at the top of the state is the head of state, is the president. So you have a responsibility to make sure all those institutions and those officials are held to account. So you cannot just sit there. You cannot just sit there and then behave like a way, or in a way as if like you are not aware of what is going on, or you don't care, and so it worries me. I mean, and for us since independence, this has been our problem: the state overstepping its bounds, and then give us problems, all right, and give themselves problems. Because look at Jammeh; he has been forced to go and live in a foreign country. Jawara was kicked out of this country, all right. Yeah, because at the end of the day, you have those powers and obligations. You don't fulfill them. You have all those benefits and immunities to protect yourself, but then you don't respect the rights of citizens. And that includes, you don't provide citizens the opportunities, the means, so that to enjoy a quality, standard of living. And what does that mean?
So as we speak, Madi, the young people are gathered at the National Youth Council. This is Kemo is leading this team, Kemo Fati. I'm just looking at the video, they're sending it to me, Kemo Fati, and it looks like, they are not resting. They mean business, and I mean, at the end of the day, and this is just their fundamental right. And I think, this is amazing, because they want their colleagues to be released, and they are at the right position. The National Youth Council, that is their place. That position belongs to the young people. So that is what is happening. What is your final message to the young people? We will get our team to rush to the National Youth Council office now. What is your message to the young people, those in detention and those right now in the streets?
Well, I would say maintain peace. At the end of the day, this is our country.
Yes.
We have to preserve our country, but we have to exercise our rights. And exercising our rights is a duty granted to us by the Constitution. And so the youth and all citizens, when they see anything that is not right for this country, they should have the duty and the right to express it. So any youth I talk to, I say, don't insult. You don't need to insult, because that is not going to solve anything. Don't throw stones. We don't want to litter our streets. They are already dirty. I mean, we don't want to destroy public buildings or anybody's, building, and those people want to, but that you are good citizens by upholding the law, by maintaining peace, and speaking to the issues directly. So my message is really all Gambians should stand up, should speak out. The youths that are illegally arrested and arbitrarily detained should be released immediately and conditionally. All right, but also to tell the state, the president, the Minister of Justice, and the IGP as the chief law enforcement officers, to realize that they have a duty to abide by the rule of law, to respect and protect human rights, and above all, to make sure that they govern this country according to the principles, the standards of transparency and accountability, and the rule of law. I mean, at the end of the day, that is the solution. It is not how many soldiers you have in the army, how many police officers, I mean, how many water cannons, I mean, how many tear gas you have. You know, I mean, every state in the world has those stakes, but we have seen state after state fall, all right, and violence engulfs the society, and the state cannot do anything about it. So the only way to secure the peace and stability of this country is for the state, more than anyone, to uphold the law and abide by the principles of good governance. All right, transparency, accountability, and probity, and create the space for citizen participation and so on. So for me, this is my my message to them. Yeah, you know.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Madi. And that brings us to the end of this show. We will hopefully, because we will have to, I'll be doing more updates as long as they are in this in custody. We will be doing updates as to where they are and what is happening. I think that is also very important for the people to know what is happening, where they are, what they're going through. Yeah. This is something we will also be doing as long as they are in detention. Thank you so much, Madi. I know it's late around your end, but you know, hopefully, yeah. you know, we can talk again very soon.
We are doing a
Thank you so
great
much.
job. So keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you. And that is Madi Jobarteh, founder, the Edward Francis Small Center for Rights and Justice, and of course, a human rights activist. You know, he's right now outside the country. I'm sure if he was here, he would have been arrested because he would have been leading this protest. But thank God he was not he's not in the country and he was not part of it. But yesterday he was online the whole time. And I keep saying, Madi, because you are 2 hours ahead of us, but you're still awake. You know, that only shows his dedication to causes of this nation. Thank you so much, Madi. And to you all who sent us stars, we want to thank you so much. And thank you also for watching and team to be able to cover what is happening at the National Youth Council. So I see a lot of you saying, Fatu, please remove Taliban from the government. But you also have to understand this is democracy. We have to have representation. Taliban, when we were setting up the Grand Bantaba, we wanted all the parties represented there. And for it was the Sanyanga Todo that was there, and at some point some executive members of NPP had to push him to leave, and he left. And Taliban was very, you know, open to coming, and you know, he has been contributing positively. I mean, you might disagree with what he's saying, but he's defending his party interests, and I think that is the beauty of democracy. He is able to defend his party position in a healthy way, and other party members are also able to defend their party position. But imagine a platform where you have only the opposition and you don't have the government representation. That is not also fair. And I think we have to also be fair when we give platforms. So I think that is something that you know, we also have to understand. I see a lot of people say it, people call me and text me, and my argument is always the same. We have to have all the parties represented in a platform, and that is what makes democracy beautiful. Even sometimes we don't like what they say, but we allow them to say it. Just like when he made the audio about me, I told the team to publish it and put it on Kirfat. Everyone was like, but I'm like, but that's the beauty of democracy. I said what I said. I said what I said about his party, and he responded what he believed was his response. I have to respect that, and I have to respect him for that, and that's the beauty of democracy. So I also want you, our followers, to understand that, you know, we also have to have everybody being represented on the platform, and that is the beauty of democracy. But imagine we just have one set of people always on the platform. That doesn't tell well also for us. It questions our credibility. It questions our integrity as a platform. So that is why, you know, we'll have Taliban and all the other people that come on a platform, as even though they speak against sometimes what you believe, but there are a section of people that also believe in what they're saying. So that's the beauty of democracy. So yeah. I want you guys to understand that. But we appreciate all of you. We appreciate your contributions. We appreciate you following us and giving us all the support and the moral support. You know, thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. But people like that, to be honest, I understand your concerns, far, but it's good. It becomes too good TV. Taliban comes and goes left. Biosonko goes right. Some people in the government camp, they don't like, they don't like they don't like Biosonko or MC Cham or Nene because they're very critical of government. But imagine if Taliban was not there, the platform will just be opposition, and that is not also fair. That is not democracy. So you guys have to understand, and I see it's not just Taliban. When we bring other people today, I'm not watching Kerfatu because you're bringing this person, you're bringing. No, you have to understand that, especially government, we want to bring more of them because they are the ones ruling us. We need to hear more from them. They need to talk to us. So we need to have more government officials coming on the platform because they are the people that are ruling. So that is democracy. So I want you guys to understand those positions and also understand that it's good to have divergent views on the platform, so we can have a balanced equation and balance views on the platform. Sometimes Talibo will say things because he's the only one on the platform. I think that Mali video plus two different oppositions. Sometimes that's not even fair to him. So he was going to speak loud so that he can be heard. And I respect that of him. He's coming against sometimes 2 or 3 people that are against him. So you also have to understand his position. He's defending his party position or his government's position. And he has to be loud enough for people to hear him because he's the only lone voice there. So we have to, if we are saying we want the borough to be democratic, we also have to be democratic ourselves. We have to understand that democracy comes with different divergent views. We don't always agree with people, what they say, but we have to respect and accept their opinions. I think that is important. So Talio will continue to be on the platform because he is there to represent his party and the interests of his party. And I think that is fair enough for everybody. Mama Cham, thank you so much for the stars. Like I said earlier, we thank you all. Mama, wow, thank you for the stars. We thank you all for the stars, sending us stars. Whenever you send us stars, you're directly supporting. Anyway, for me, he's okay. Yes, Kamarba, he's definitely okay. Thank you. But I want to say thank you all for supporting, and always sending us stars. Whenever you send us stars, you are directly supporting. These stars turn into money, and we're able to cash it and pump it into to our logistics. We're able to cover right now, calling one team to go to Farato or to go to Talinding to cover these human interest stories. All of that is because you're supporting us. You're watching our Facebook page. You are watching our YouTube channel, but you're also sending us stars. So thank you so much, Mamat, and all of you who sent us stars throughout this broadcast. I thank you all. Thank you so much. I leave you with the beautiful voice of Jaliwa.
After receiving the constitutional instrument for the country's independence in 1965, said this.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you guys so much. Hopefully, I will come back to update you, but hopefully, you know, they will release these boys very soon. Thank you so much. See you soon.